guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here, and today we are down the Spit. This is part of the city of Gold Coast where I live, and I've just felt a little bit compelled of late to show you more of the sites around where I shoot regularly for fun and with friends. And so today we're down the Spit, and my jumper and t-shirt are not working together very well at all, are they? Apologies, those who are fashion conscious, as you know I am not. Today I want to talk about composition, and with composition, for that to be fascinating, you need a subject, and so you need something that the photo is about or tells a story of or engages with. And this morning it's quite simple. It is our sand pumping jetty. To my right, all the way over here, is the city, and that's not to my right, is it? It's to your right. Anyway, that's the city all the way over there. And all the way back there is South Stradbroke Island with the sun coming up. There's no clouds this morning and there's high tide, which is why we chose this place, because there is a subject, because often you will use perhaps water movement, or you'll use rocks, you'll use the landscape that's naturally there as a subject, but when you know the tide's going to be high, there's not going to be a lot of else to shoot anywhere else, we've come here because we can shoot the sand pumping jetties. So here's one I've just taken, and I'm not shooting very wide today. I'm going to shoot on a 24 to 70. I'm going to shoot around an f-stop of 9 or so, and we're going to see how we go. So I just thought I'd take a shot of the city, and this clown, you can't see, it's just like I'll just walk in front of the shot, just camp here. Like look right there, and he's standing right here. That does not make for a good long exposure. Here's what it looks like. See? Rubbish. So here's the beauty of this scene that I just want to highlight. You've got the water coming in, and you've got some really shallow gloss here, and then you've got these layers or ripples because of the waves. And so if you put it on a 30 to 60 second exposure, you get this beautiful, like, textured, layered feel that leads you in to your subject. And you can shoot portrait or landscape, obviously, do what you like. But in me doing that, what I've done is I've left half the frame vacant and the other half with the subject, and then you can experiment and move around. But what we're aiming for is the sun is going to come up hopefully at the point of the pier. There's the point of the pier. Woo. Yeah, the point of the pier. And create this cool sunburst effect and make it look really interesting, because you have to work with that and the direct sunlight rather than what it's going to do to the clouds. Because this beautiful colour you can see here, which looks pretty bang on from what I can see in my monitor, it looks it'll gradually fade and go to blue, so it'll go through this to pinks and purples, but it'll be quite quick and it won't be like spectacular, it'll just look really nice. So the glow is now looking brilliant and red, nice and hot. And here's a shot that I've just taken, and the unique thing about this is, you know, rule of thirds, so basically you have a third here and then a third here and you have a third here. And what you want to do is position the subject on one of those lines. It's a very, very basic, very kind of fundamental approach to composition. And it's kind of boring because there's a lot of other fun ways to compose a shot. But with a scenario like this, where you have the pier and you have nothing interesting above the pier, but below the pier you have some form of interest, especially where I can still shoot long exposure before the sun comes up. You have these beautiful patterns and textures that I reckon if you stuck that on the wall, you could gaze at for a while. You know, you'd just be drawn into that and kind of lost in it. And I like that about the shot. We've still got a lot of bright colour, but the interesting thing is we're about to, the sun, we hope was going to come up there, but it's actually, I think, going to come up there. So we need to move further down the beach to where the base of the sand pumping jetty, to get a better view of the tip of that pier as the sun comes up, which I think I just saw dolphins. It could be the spots in my eyes from the light, but it's too dark at the moment to get out there, but that'd be epic. You'll see me in 5 minutes time really disappointed that there were no dolphins. So we're going to move along and just wait for that sun, which must be about 15 to 20 minutes away, I reckon. Now, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know I talk about looking behind you and looking around you and not missing out on stuff. And so as I looked toward the city, You can't see it here.
So there is this glow that has taken place. I'll just show you the photo.
So the city is surrounded by these purple and blue hues, which really bring out and accentuate the orange of the city, which I just love. And I've composed this shot to kind of lower it so the beach draws you in, and so that it includes all of the city that I can see from this particular perspective. I tried this one before, but I wasn't really happy with it. But when I lowered the camera and tilted it slightly to the right, I came up with a much better result. Another compositional technique I like to do is, we've got the pier, right? And so the pier is leading you into the shot. So the pier that leading you in the shot. So you're fixated on the pier, and then you're drawn into. And when you're underexposed slightly, have a look at this photo, I'll put it on the screen now. You can see that the pier leads you into the heart of the sun, but the sun's not there yet. So there's this sense of anticipation, this sense of waiting for it, and you've got it dark sort of vignette, a natural vignette on the bottom, and it's complemented by the reflection in the water, and it just has this like a captivating effect. It draws you in, you're like, oh, it's so good. And so in this sort of circumstance and scenario, I'm not worried about the sea or any of that being in focus. I'm setting my focus point to the very point of the pier, which is the closest to the middle of the photograph, and also the iconic part of the subject that I want to make sure everyone grabs hold of and engages with. So in scenarios like this, you have a pier and water, and it can appear quite boring. Appear quite boring. That's worth a subscribe, isn't it? It's worth a like. Don't unlike the video because of that. Oh, you can if you want, I don't care. Okay, so if I put it on a 1/1.6 exposure, as this surf comes in, you can see the surf is coming in fairly close to the tripod. It's come up to just here. Then you get this beautiful, as the surf comes in, then peters away, and then it draws out, and you have these cool patterns. And so I've taken this photo because it grabs hold of you and it draws you in using the natural patterns of the water. So you want to use the other elements that you have at your disposal to make the shot that you're trying to take as interesting as possible, and that comes through waiting around and watching and thinking about it and experimenting with your settings. And I often, in this sort of scenario where it's landscape and we're just waiting for the sun to come up, I'm using my shutter. So I'm moving my shutter up and down to get the effect I want and to see how the light fluctuates off the sensor, create something that's really bright like this, or something that's really dark like this. And then once I'm happy with that, I can use ISO and aperture to fine-tune the shot to get the elements correct that I want. So that might be helpful for you, or you might be just like, I've got a different way of doing it. So if you have a different way of doing it, put it in the comments below. Love to learn from you. It is cloud morning on the Gold Coast. Look at this. We've got this space here, and then all of this space, and most of the beach is walking in front of the camera, and it's because this guy just made it happen. Yeah, not happy. Sun is about to come up, and I'm going to shoot some of that instead of talking to you, and then I'll come back and chat to you about how it's gone after that. I'm also going to turn my ISO down because 1600 is a little bit unnecessary. Sun has come up, as you can see, but what that creates, as the sun gets higher and higher and higher in the sky, it creates this beautiful striking slash of colour in the sea. And so this is a shot that I've taken, and I love it because you have the sunburst of the sun, which happens when the sun is sort of obscured and you shoot on a very low aperture, which is an aperture of, say, f20. And when you shoot on that, there's something about the light diffraction that makes the sun kind of pop and burst. And then if the sun is blocked by something, say a tree or a pier or a building or even a person, you get a much bigger pop and bang for your buck. And then we've got the beautiful textures of the water. And what I did is I just kept on like shooting, because what I'm going to do in post is go through and be like, that's the perfect one, because you've got all these waves that are moving up and down, coming in, and the waves have this crest of colour, and I find that really beautiful, but also you want a really long lead in of that blazing sun reflection on the water, and so that's why I'm taking shot after shot after shot, so I can then have a look at it and go, yeah, that was the one I most preferred. So all that, other than the city shot, was taken on my 24-70, and I didn't go anywhere near a 2.8. So basically, this isn't a kit lens, but a kit lens will do you easily to take this kind of photograph. And if you want to shoot longer exposure as the sun comes up, you'll need some filters for that. And I'll get to a filter video with some new Nissi stuff that's coming my way shortly, so stay tuned for that. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you've really gained something from it. Leave a comment below. You can just say, "G'day, how's it going?" And I'll be like, "Good, how are you?" Yeah, assuming I'm good, but I'll definitely that's what happens when you run out of memory space. So I just ran out of memory space. All I wanted to do is say there are no dolphins, and please subscribe. See ya.